2025 is only 2 months in, but China has already thrown out some pretty big surprises. You might have heard about how American TikTok refugees started flocking to the Chinese social media app Red in January that briefly broke down China's internet firewall. Then DeepSeek launched its R1 model, shaking up the AI startups and semiconductor stocks. But here's one surprise you probably didn't see coming.哪吒2, the animated film released during China's Spring Festival. As of February 18th, it's made over 12.3 billion yuan worldwide, and is now the highest grossing animated film ever, beating Inside Out 2, and is 8th on the global box office list. Next, the North American premiere of Nezha happened to fall on Valentine's Day, so there's still some time to see how it plays out internationally. But even just the domestic box office has been huge and record-breaking. And that raises an interesting question. Is Nezha China's DeepSeek moment for the movie industry? Or is it simply because China's population is so massive, so naturally more people are watching? So stick around, because in this episode we're diving into what Nezha is all about and why it might be more than just another movie. So first up, who is Nezha? Nezha is a classic mythological figure in traditional Chinese culture, but his figure actually has Indian origins and is the son of Vishlavara, who is one of the 4 heavenly kings in Indian Buddhism. Nezha is later localized as the 3rd son of the Chinese deity Li Jing, who is known as the pagoda-bearing heavenly king. Nezha is famous for his iconic feature: 3 hands, 6 arms, winged fire wheels, and the magic circle. In Buddhist texts, Nezha is seen as a heroic and justice-driven warrior. His birth was such a big deal, and it was celebrated by both deities and ordinary people. His story is recorded in several Buddhist scriptures that talk about his divine origins and his role as a protector. In these texts, Nezha is often described as having supernatural powers, like the ability to drive away evil spirits and safeguard the world. Over time, Nezha's image evolved, and he has been depicted in art and literature in many forms throughout Chinese history. And his legacy lives on in Chinese classic works like Journey to the West or The Investiture of the Gods. However, in Chinese mythology, Nezha's origin and story are deeply complex. He is said to be the reincarnation of the Lingzhu Pearl, which is a sacred entity created by the Taoist deity. In some myths, the Lingzhu Pearl is also depicted as the guardian under Nuwa, who is the goddess who created the human being in Chinese mythology. Nezha's birth was anything but ordinary. His mother carried him for 3 years and 6 months before he was born. When he was born, he emerged wrapped in a flesh ball. His father Li Jing saw this as an ominous sign and even tried to cut open the ball with a sword. This unusual birth, combined with his extraordinary powers and rebellious nature, gave Nezha a certain demonic or even monstrous quality. In this movie, Nezha, this idea is taken further. Nezha is portrayed as being born a demon rather than a deity, but he refuses to accept his predecided fate and strives to break free from the prejudice. So his story and character is all about rebellion against fate and against authority. The core message of Nezha's character is simple but powerful. My fate is in my own hands, not in the heavens. That's the message this movie carries, and it's a powerful narrative that can resonate with people from any nationality or culture. Behind Nezha2's success is actually years of hard work. The visuals are actually stunning, and it's a blend of traditional Chinese aesthetics with modern animation techniques. The Nezha story was first adapted into animation back in 1979, and in just a few decades, Chinese animation has evolved into what we see today. Nezha2 involved nearly 140 animation companies with over 4,000 staff. Attention to detail was crucial. For example, the armor of the octopus and shark characters had to look rusty and battle-worn with visible scars. The team spent 6 months on that concept art for just 1 minute of a battle scene. While animators in China admit there's still room for improvement, it's clear that a lot of effort went into every frame. The visual experience now actually holds up against most international animation blockbusters. If you plan to watch it in the theaters, I recommend going for the IMAX version, because some of my friends said that the regular screens may have slight color distortions. Beyond the animation quality, the feel-good narrative really resonates. In the first half of Nezha's story, regardless of their origins, all characters pursue the same goal, which is to diligently cultivate their abilities and gain recognition from the heavenly realm. Yet, Nezha gradually discovers that the leader of the heavenly realm is actually the true villain, someone who endangers lives and will stop at nothing to preserve his power. So, Nezha fundamentally challenges the so-called orthodox ruling class. This message really strikes a chord, especially in Chinese society, where collective values and authority are often placed above individuality. The film is essentially saying that heaven may not look as good as it appears. It's about standing up to the powerful and finding your own way. That story really works for anyone, whether you're in Beijing or in New York City. Now, some people are saying that Nezha's success is all about nationalist pride among Chinese, but that's actually not true. Not every Chinese person liked the movie. Me, for example, I didn't like it, but then again, I didn't like superhero movies either. It's really just a personal preference. So the movie has a very specific audience, and it's not necessarily in the big cities. In places like Shanghai or Beijing,哪吒 2 wasn't the runaway hit, it was in smaller cities. Statistics has shown that this movie actually resonated better with people in the small towns and village area, where majority of China's population lives. Among those who didn't like the movie, there are at least two big points causing the controversy. First, there's the theme of sacrificing the common people for the greater good. Some of the movie key plot points involve sacrificing ordinary folks, and sometimes even women, for the cause. For example, Nezha's personal vendetta is set against the backdrop of the massacre at Chentang Pass, where all the common people are brutally killed. Then Nezha's mother dies, and her death triggers Nezha's final transformation in a fit of rage, and this gives him the power to finally defeat the leader of the heavenly realm. That's one of the reasons I personally didn't connect with the movie that much. It just really feels like another one of those stories that has been done too many times before. And then there's another issue that's turning off a lot of female viewers away. In the movie, there are two important characters, a deer who is a male and a crane who is a female. Both are assistants to the heavenly leader. The male assistant leads a monster hunting squad with drama and flair, but the female assistant, who is also powerful, simply runs off, embarrassed, after Nezha accidentally messes up her skirt. This movie casually uses female shame as a joke, which doesn't sit well with a lot of the audience. And more than 65% of哪吒 2's audience are female. And this kind of portrayal is uncomfortable for many viewers. Although, personally, I don't think this is an intentionally harmful setup, it's certainly not an intellectual joke, and it's certainly not that funny. That said, a lot of Chinese people, especially those who aren't regular moviegoers, are buying tickets just to see what the buzz is all about after the movie's box office success. It is indeed becoming a bit of the meme-watching phenomenon. And to be honest, there aren't that many good movies out this year, so哪吒 2 is kind of the only option for the Spring Festival this year. At its core,哪吒 2 is a commercial product. It's designed to sell tickets, not to provoke deep thought. For example, some audiences have said that the movie doesn't really reflect upon systematic flaws, but instead it just cheers for the protagonist's breakthrough. It delivers emotional highs and easy catharsis, but it doesn't really leave you with much to ponder. But of course, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I like the visual, and it's still a very successful animated film this year. And big box office success often comes from simple, replicable formulas, not profound storytelling. And this is also an example of how traditional Chinese stories are being reshaped for mass appeal. For many years, people have been complaining about China's lack of soft power on the global stage. China doesn't have a superhero movies like the US or the anime like Japan, but of course, people have different tastes in movies. But let's be honest, a simple superhero story, for example, is pretty cool and it can connect with a lot of people. But Chinese films have had trouble finding that kind of cool narrative that resonates with common people internationally. Domestically, there are plenty of deep, interesting Chinese films, often in Chinese language, and they give real snapshots of society and can resonate with Chinese people. But when the international community thinks of China, many might immediately associate it with the cheap made in China product, or its one-party political system, without giving a second thought. But I think the哪吒movie has the potential to break free from these usual stereotypes tied to China's nationality and politics. It's based on a century-old Chinese myth, so it offers a fresh worldview that feels exotic than the heaven and hell or the superhero stories. But I think more importantly, the story's narrative can indeed connect with many everyday people from all over the world. So that's it for today. Drop a comment in the section below. What do you think of 哪吒2? I'm really curious to know how international audience feel about the movie. Is this China's breakthrough moment on the global stage? Let's discuss in the comment section. If you found this video insightful, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more on-the-ground insights on China. See you next time.